Hi there, I'm Anna Prosser. I'm your host for the Pokemon North America International Championship, and I'm here with some of our esteemed casters. We're about to have a roundtable to kick things off for you, and I would love to introduce them, but I think they will do a better job of introducing themselves. So why don't you let the people know who you are and what you do?
Sure, thank you. I'm Michael Graff, also known as H2. I do commentary for a Pokémon tournament, which has been presented fantastically at the North American Internationals last year and at Worlds. It's going to be very, very exciting, this event that we have coming up.
Can't wait. What about you?
My name's Cora Georgiou. I'm one of the commentators for the Pokemon trading card game. This is my second North American International Championships. I'm really excited to see what the players are bringing to the table this time around because this is the first really big event with a brand new set.
I can't wait to see it. And, my friend?
Hey guys, I'm Aaron Zhang. I'm one of the commentators for the Pokemon Video Game Championship Series. I used to be a competitor, but transitioned over more to commentating in the most recent years. But I've been to pretty much every nationals and internationals in the United States. So excited, you know, it's just another one, but this is gonna be a big tournament.
So there might be a few people who are tuning in not knowing what to expect, not knowing what to look for. Let's start with the basics. What is the role of a commentator and of the broadcast team? What are we here for and what should people expect from us?
Well, basically, I like to think of myself as sort of a storyteller, right? We're here to, yes, break down the action and explain to the audience what is happening in our respective games, but also to tell the stories of the players and their seasons that they've had and successes that they may have had over the course of the year and how that leads up to the World Championships, which is coming up in just a couple of short months.
I feel like we're kind of like a channel that is directly linking the players that we're watching to the viewers. It's a very emotional experience the entire time, and I think it's important to communicate the emotion as well as the story.
It's like we're professional fans, basically, like
Yes.
in the stead of people who are at home, right?
Yeah.
Again, thinking about people who might be new to the community, but also people who've been around a while will probably enjoy hearing. What do you guys think characterizes the Pokemon community as a whole, and then each of your respective games specifically within the Pokemon community? Why don't we start with you, Aaron?
Yeah, sure. Our tournaments are like open to everyone. This is, you know, the biggest open tournament of the year, and I think that's really exclusive because a lot of competitive video games, like, you won't be able to play it at the highest level because you have like closed circuits, but for Pokemon, anyone can play, and so these events are exciting because you can always go meet your favorite players, meet the top players, and actually be able to compete against them as well in the competition. So I think that's probably the most exciting thing about our community.
It's a very complicated game, but one that you can start playing when you're very, very young. It has a very high ceiling, but a very low floor, we'll say. So we get the junior players who are better players than I will ever, ever, ever hope to be. And I love getting to see how they improve over time.
Yeah, I think that that's something I particularly enjoy as someone who's been in esports for a long time. In Pokemon, you get to actually see them and you get to see how it affects them. And when we get to that winner's circle, when I ask, who do you want to thank? It's always, oh, my friends who practiced with me and my parents who brought me all the way here and all of that kind of stuff. So I agree, that's a really cool thing about the Pokemon community in general.
I think it's kind of it's a connection of community, and talking about VGC. VGC is kind of the thing that started it all. For me personally, like when I started way back in the day with Pokemon, it was because of the video game.
I think Pokemon's so cool because you get it's the bridge between the fighting game community and the Pokemon community, right? And the fighting game community is so passionate, and it has such a storied history. And now Pokemon's been around for 20 plus years, so to see those two sort of coming together for the first time, it's really freaking cool.
That's a really cool thing to point out, actually, that you guys are so specialized in your particular games, but you also love watching the other games. What is your favorite thing as a fan about the other games?
Pokemon is by far, I think, the most hype of the three games. I went and sat in the Pokemon audience at Worlds, and I've played a little bit, but I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable as you or any of the players. But even not entirely knowing what was going on, just being able to sit and feel the energy of the crowd was just a really, really cool experience. And I think that's something that you really only can get with the fighting game community. And VG, again, not something that I know a terrible amount about, but I love the commentators and the way that you guys break it down, because it makes it so that, you know, I play the game, but I play it very casually. So even though I may not know all of the moves or all of the abilities or the held items, you guys make it so that the more that I watch, the easier it gets.
What about you?
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm glad we're doing our jobs well, but I was going to say the exact same thing for both respective games. I mean, yeah, Pokemon's energy is crazy. Like, I don't really understand it on a very high level, but I remember watching World's Finals last year, and I was, like, jumping out my chair because I was like, this is just so crazy. Like, it's just so fun to watch. And like Cora mentioned, yeah, the energy level was just so great. I actually used to play the trading card game for a long time, and so I like that it's like a different take on competitive games, because often things I think can get really, really hectic, but there's still some really great moments in every game, obviously.
What about you? What are your favorites about the other two games?
So TCG is very complex. So I have to rely on the crowd, but the crowd is very energetic. I love just being in the moment there, and then you see a play, because you have to be very familiar with the meta to understand what's going on. And you see a play, and then you see the crowd react, and you see that energy. And then probably my favorite thing about TCG, honestly, is the art. I don't know if you guys appreciate the cards as much as I do, but my favorite Pokemon is actually Gardevoir, and they do a lot of cards with Gardevoir. And the new team-up cards are especially fantastic.
Yeah.
You also mentioned meta. Let's talk a little bit about the meta if you're trying to explain it to somebody who may be just coming back to watch these competitions or maybe completely new. What are some of the things that are really important in the meta of your games right now that someone might be able to watch for and be like, oh, I learned about that in the roundtable?
Yeah, my understanding is that meta is just an acronym for most effective tactic available, right? So it's the thing that's...
I'm nodding.
It's just short for metagame.
Me too.
I learned something at the round table. Thanks.
All right, cool. So that's my understanding of like the acronym, and that's how I look at it. This strategy will start working because it's at the top of the meta right now. It's the thing that's working, and then it'll shift. The meta will change.
What are our players playing for right now? We've mentioned points, and we know that there's prizing. Tell us a little bit about what's on the line here for our players.
Well, this is the last international event before the World Championships, which are coming up in August in Washington, D.C., which is very exciting. And that means that this is one of the last opportunities for players to receive points towards their qualification to Worlds. So you're going to be seeing a lot of players here who've been putting in a lot of work over the course of the year, but maybe they're coming up a little bit short and they need a good performance here to be able to qualify and play at the World Championships. So it's always really exciting to see how these players who've had successes on the big stage come back and if they can repeat those performances.
We kind of get a behind-the-scenes look at everything that maybe people watching from home don't get to experience by being actually here on site. So what are some of the cool things that they might not be able to see through their screen that is also going on here at the event itself?
There's a lot. There's a ton of things that go on at these events. So there's tons of side events, obviously. There's side events for TCG, VG, and for Pokken.
What do you mean by a side event, in case somebody doesn't know?
So we have these various events that will be hosted, like Pokken, for example. You just have small little tournaments where they'll, grab like 8 people, say, hey, do you guys want to enter a tournament and play for some trading cards?
I love the friendliness too. I think that this event is characterized by you walk around and people will just strike up conversation, or if you want to ask a question about a game that you see, like I often see TCG pick up games just in like hotel lobbies and walking up and being
everywhere
like,
you
what's
go.
that? Yeah, it's really open that way, which I find really exciting and inviting and welcoming. Well, that welcoming energy that we talk about here in the community also hopefully extends to the stream, because that's why we're here. So people can watch in multiple different ways. They can watch our main stream, which is twitch.tv/Pokemon, where all of us will show up at any given time, but there's also specific streams for each of your games. So why don't you guys talk about where people can find each of your games?
Yeah, so the Video Game Championships is at twitch.tv/PokemonVGC. So there's always some really fun picks that end up being on the top teams, and for that reason, it's kind of fun to see, little Togedemaru duke it up against a big Kyogre, but manage to win. And I think that makes it really exciting to watch. But that will all be at twitch.tv/PokemonVGC.
What about our card game friends?
All right, so if you're looking to watch the Pokemon TCG, it's just going to be twitch.tv/PokemonTCG. And like I was saying before, this is a very exciting event because it's the first international with the new Unbroken Bonds expansion release. But I'm looking for those off-the-wall strategies. So you're going to want to tune in. Both we're going to be on the main stage and at Pokemon TCG Twitch just to see what do these players come up with. When you've got thousands of players all in one place, you know that something wacky is going to happen, and those are always my favorite games to watch.
And what about Pokken? Where do we find you?
So you can check out Pokken at twitch.tv/Pokken Tournament, of course. And the way that things are going, we've been seeing a lot of Mewtwo and Shadow Mewtwo show up, edgy Mewtwo, as some people like to say. But those two characters have been performing very well. But the interesting thing is that as the 3v3 format has gone on, people have been kind of shifting into other team compositions that don't involve them as much. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. And I look forward to giving you guys all an amazing show and seeing you guys on stream. I think it's going to be fantastic.
This is going to be so fun. You guys are in such good hands. If you're a returning viewer, a very experienced player, they will give you all the insight. But if you're a brand new viewer, don't worry. These casters have you in good hands. They're going to tell you exactly what's going on and get you up to speed. Again, we have the twitch.tv/Pokemon stream that's going to be kind of a curated experience of all of the games, and then each of the individual games on their respective streams. Pokken doesn't start till Saturday, so you're going to have to wait for that one, but don't worry, they'll be there soon. And if you want to chat with us and you want to talk about what's happening on social media, use the hashtag #PlayPokemon, so we'll be sure to see what you think of each game. I can't wait to get into it, and so we will see you very soon as we get underway with the Pokemon North American International Championship.